Greetings and welcome to Vampa's Viewings. This is the first episode of Vampa's Viewings, and if you're here, it's because you subscribed to my Patreon, so thank you. With me tonight is one-third of Voyager, Steve Greene. Thank you for sticking around after the interview and doing this with me.
Oh yeah, we're hanging, we're having fun, we're talking movies.
Yeah, and we're going to discuss the movie New York Ninja tonight, and this is pretty tremendous because I have one of the composers of the film score of the movie discussing the movie, and this might be the only time this will ever happen. So I'm excited about this. So New York Ninja is a really interesting movie because we kind of touched on this in the interview, but it was shot in 1984, and in 2001 it was released, but it was completely just re-edited. Well, why don't you explain it, Steve? You explain it a lot better than me.
Yeah. Okay, so John Liu wanted to make an American action/ninja film because at the time he probably saw like Ninja 3: The Domination, Revenge of the Ninja, 9 Deaths of the Ninja doing so well at the box office, for a genre film. Mm-hmm. So he came over here, he partnered up with 21st Century Distribution and co-wrote New York Ninja with Arthur Schweitzer, who was responsible for a lot of stuff. You can look him up on IMDb, but his list is long of all kinds of genre stuff.
And this is all from 84.
Yep.
Right? Okay.
Yep. Yeah, it was filmed in the summer and late fall of 1984 in and around New York City and New Jersey. Like where New York Ninja fights Rat Tail is some kind of like boat yard over in New Jersey. I remember somebody said that at the premiere, who knew about some of those locations or recognized it or something like that. So they filmed it, most of it. I don't think they were completely finished. I think some things didn't get wrapped up, but the money stopped. 21st Century Distribution went out of business, and it got shelved. All these reels of film, 70 plus reels on a pallet stored in somebody's archive for years. For almost and 4 years. That's crazy. Yeah, and sometime in the 90s, I think, it says it on the Blu-ray Extra in New York Ninja. There's actually 2 discs when you get it from Vinegar Syndrome. The other disc has the bonus stuff and interviews, and they found the special effects guy, and he was talking about some of the behind-the-scenes stuff, and that the effects budget was really low. And there's not that much effects in the film. It's just a sprinkling of different effects, but they didn't have any money, basically, at all to shoot this thing. So they did it very guerrilla style. Some of the people predicted or surmised that they didn't have any permits at all.
That's what I thought, especially with the scene where during the Halloween parade.
They just showed up at that parade.
I was like, I think they just showed up
here. Yeah.
But that adds to the charm of it, in my opinion.
I think so. Because, as an indie filmmaker, I know you can recognize this. Yeah. You don't have time or the budget to go do all that, like the quote-unquote real way. You just got to get it done.
Show up with the camera. And
have like a little plan in time. As a matter of fact, I have a funny little anecdote about that is the music video that we shot for Il Guantanero, which is on Doom Fortress, our first record. We did a music video for that, and we did it very cinematically. We had 1 or 2 days of permission at the Russell Industrial Center to film that, but it took 4 days to shoot, and we still shot it, and I think I might have got somebody in trouble, so I apologize again.
It was,
but you had to get it done, man. Yeah. So it's just that spirit of that. We don't have all the shots. We got to get it done. So New York Ninja got shelved, and sometime in the 90s, Troma had the rights to it for some reason. I don't know how that stuff works. It just depends on who's making deals and what's going on, but Troma had the option to finish it. Maybe more of it existed back then. Maybe there were scripts, or maybe there was some audio. I don't know. Or maybe it was just how it was when Vinegar Syndrome found it, just picture only. I don't know. But Troma passed on it. It is the long story short.
It wasn't gross enough for them, I'm sure.
I guess not. Didn't have that vibe.
Yeah.
Because I like a big handful of different Troma stuff. Like one in particular, I love Combat Shock. It's so outlandish and crazy. It's just, it's cool. There's no other film like that I know of. So when I watch that, it's its own flavor of something. But anyway, Troma passed on it and didn't opt to do anything with it. So there it sat on a pallet for even longer. And I'm guessing probably in 2018 or 2019, Vinegar Syndrome bought out all the inventory and intellectual property and rights and everything like that to 21st Century's whole catalog. That must have been in a warehouse or something like that in New York somewhere. So they purchased it all. That's not that uncommon for different companies around the world even to buy out properties of other companies that are either defunct or going out of business or whatever. So they did a huge lot purchase of a whole bunch of stuff. And on this pallet in the corner, there's all these reels that said NY Ninja on it. And it wasn't on the manifest of the purchase. It was like a rogue title because it wasn't even on there. So they asked, hey, what's this New York Ninja thing? And one of the guys said, oh, don't worry about that. We'll just throw that away. And of course, Vinegar Syndrome's spirit and DNA is like, the hell you are. We'll take that. No problem. We'll take it. So it sat in there in Vinegar Syndrome's vault for a little bit, maybe a year, roughly, something like that. But then they hired Curtis Spieler on to do various projects at Vinegar Syndrome. And they were giving him a tour of the place after he got hired, and one of those tours included the vault room or the archive room, which I'm sure for Vinegar Syndrome's got to be big because they've done so much stuff. I mean, they've been around for years now, and every year they release even more stuff, new stuff, retouched up or fixed or archived or whatever that process is, enhanced or whatever. And he asked about New York Ninja, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's this Ninja movie from 84, never finished, doesn't have sound, no script." Oh, okay, he said. And he kept on going. So a little more time passed, and he actually got it in his head, I'm going to go to the owners, and I'm going to ask them, let me finish this movie, and that's before they even saw anything. There was not one foot of film scan so that they could watch it.
So he just knew it was going to be a challenge and was like, I'm going to take
That's what I think. I believe so. I think he liked the challenge. And so eventually they said, okay. And he said, well, give me a budget. Give me some stuff to work with here. And they did. So then they had to start scanning the film in. And he told me this on the phone one time, which I think is cool. They purchased, I think from New Zealand or somewhere in Europe or something like that. They purchased, I think it must have been New Zealand because that's the production company that did it. So they purchased the daily film scanner that they used on Lord of the Rings. It happened to be that one. And it came up for sale some time ago, and they bought that one. So they have that film scanner. It's not that really
film scanner.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. But I mean, it's still just a film scanner, of course. But it's kind of fun to have that kind of mojo attached to it, right? So they started scanning it, and the rest almost is kind of like funny in a way because Curtis would be doing something else, and every twice a day, every few hours, Brandon, the film scanner, one of the main film scanners, that would run into his office and go, "Dude, you got to see this part that we can watch now. You got to check it out." And one of them was when he was on the roller skates fighting the criminals.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So quickly they realized, oh, we have a goddamn gold mine here. This is wonderful. Of that era, that kind of a little bit of cheese, a little bit of trying, but not maybe hitting the mark. The fights scenes aren't right on, and there's not enough coverage. But it is what it is. If you had to get in there with no permit and film these really quickly, you can't get 7 angles and then cut this masterful Enter the Dragon style fight scene. It's just not possible. So they did what they could. And I love it. I actually think it's right in there with the other ninja films. It's not the best one, but I think it's right in there because if you go back and watch some of those ninja films, they're not all awesome. There's some that have some things to be desired, like maybe some people say New York Ninja does. I love it though. I really do, but I'm probably biased. But I think it's right in there.
So intimately, from being in it, essentially.
Right. Watching it 100 times. Without sound. So they finished this film during the lockdown time that the whole world experienced. We scored it during that time. Right after we turned the music in for it, they started having the voice actors start doing their sessions. And because of COVID, they didn't fly people into, they're based out of Connecticut. So maybe they would have probably chose New York since it's a very industry city and a lot of options there. I think if COVID never existed, they probably would have set up camp in New York and flew everybody there. That's my guess anyway. But because of COVID, they just had all the actors find a pro-level studio, a proper studio, wherever they were located at, and do their work there, and just send the files electronically. But Curtis was able to do like this. There's a certain kind of like connection that you can do in high-level studios where you can real-time watch and give feedback. So a lot of the studios had that kind of connection. So he could actually still direct, believe it or not, as these actors were doing all the voiceover work. Because remember, there's not one stitch of audio that existed for this film. So every pin drop, door creak, ounce of dialogue, punch, kick, all had to be manufactured or performed from scratch nowadays, basically. So, what an undertaking.
And it's really cool that it was all done remotely. Almost like a Zoom meeting or something.
Right, yeah. I know for a fact, wild. According to the Blu-ray extra, that Michael Berryman, who is very famous genre actor, probably one of his most famous ones is the 70s horror film, The Hills Have Eyes. And his character was named Pluto in that. He did the Plutonium Killer's voice, the main bad guy in New York Ninja. And he did that in his house. So he must have a decent setup in his house, because I think he just nailed the essence of the Plutonium Killer. Really it couldn't have been better. It's so good. Yeah.
I thought that was interesting because there was him, and then Linnea Quigley plays the I can't remember what her the name was of the character, but I think she's the
she is
the news reporter.
Yeah, she is the actress. The actor, they actually did find the actress who played her, believe it or not. Her name's Adrienne Meltzer. Okay. And she's a sweetheart. She was at the premiere. They flew her in for the premiere out in LA.
So she wanted to see it. And
and she's on the Blu-ray extra too, so you can have her, you can hear her giving some of her thoughts at the time and her recollection
I'll have to check that
of
out.
That. Yeah.
That'd be interesting to see. But I thought it was interesting that they got Michael Berryman and Linnea Quigley, among other people, but I know them on what they look like.
Right.
So I'm I didn't realize I knew the voices until I looked at the IMDb, and I was like, wow, they got these people to do that. That's really interesting.
Yeah, a lot of people would know Linnea Quigley from Return of the Living Dead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or her she did other stuff. What was she on? Dead McMahon knows. What did she do?
She had the horror workout.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
That was a fun one. I think she's in Night of the Demons.
Yes, she's the classic just scream queen.
One of the original scream queens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was interesting that it was her. I would have recognized her face, but I don't know her voice. And then they also got some martial arts people. Cynthia Rothrock.
Yeah, she is awesome, man. A cool side note about because I was not familiar with her. Somehow, just with life, I didn't see a lot of the direct-to-video 90s stuff. Yeah. I don't know. I can't tell you why. Probably because Ford was on the road a lot back then. At that time, we were doing a lot of touring, so I didn't catch a lot of those. So I really wasn't. I did know who Don the Dragon Wilson was, but I didn't really know him that well. But her, Cynthia Rothrock, I just didn't know her for some reason. Yeah. But at the premiere of New York Ninja in Santa Monica at Beyond Fest, at the Arrow Theater, which they filmed some scenes of Donnie Darko in, by the way, they played her first film, which is called Yes, Madam, and it stars also Michelle Yeoh. And it is such a badass movie. The fighting is unbelievable. Somebody just released it too on Blu-ray, restored and really nice and clean and everything like that. I totally recommend checking out Yes, Madam. It does have an alternate title that I can't remember, so you might have to do a little bit of research and see which title it's under in this new release. But that's a badass film. It's really good. So they played that after New York Ninja, and we were tired because we were jet lagged and everything. But we're like, let's stay and watch this. I feel like we should watch this. Plus, Cynthia Rothrock was sitting 4 seats down. you can't leave. She'll whoop our ass.
Yeah.
So we had to watch it. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
But I'm glad we did because it was really good. The fighting is amazing in there. So right away, I realized from direct evidence, viewing evidence, she's a badass.
Yeah.
So now I'm a fan for sure.
Mm-hmm.
She's awesome.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. That sounds. I mean, there's not really many female martial arts.
No, it gets thin quickly. You're right. Yeah, it's a male-dominated biz for sure.
I mean, as a woman, I love to see that kind of stuff.
And Michelle Yeoh's fighting, by the way, is off the chain. Yeah, she's really good in there.
She's I feel like the only female martial arts movie star I know of. Not that I'm an expert on it or anything.
Right, but just general like what you hear out there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree.
And I'm not. I like genre movies, and I'm not the. I would really hesitate to call myself a big martial arts action movie fan. I really get into them, and I typically enjoy them.
Yeah.
But I guess it's something that I don't spend a lot of time on.
Yeah.
Something I really enjoy though.
Nice.
I mean, one of my favorite movies of all time is Showdown Little Tokyo, which I don't know if you've seen.
I don't think I have seen that.
It is just bonkers, crazy. It's
nice.
Dolph Lundgren and
mid-90s, would you say, or?
Yeah, maybe early 90s because Brandon Lee's in it.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And he passed away in 94, so maybe it's 92.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it's a genre I like.
I'm gonna look that up. Maybe it's on Tubi. Tubi has all those awesome films.
Oh,
for sure.
I bet you it is.
Yeah.
It's kind of a Tubi. What was the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say quality, but kind of. Yeah, it's a Tubi quality.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. There's a certain what some people would refer to as a B movie.
Oh, totally.
Or a C movie.
Yeah.
Tubi's got a lot of that kind of stuff, but to me, that's what I love. I mean, I love a big budget movie too. Don't get me wrong, but I love that spirit of a filmmaker has a vision, trying to get it done, like George Romero, Night of the Living Dead. They probably made that movie for, $5,000 or $10,000 tops at a farmhouse and a cemetery in Pittsburgh. That's it. And
arguably one of the most, imitated and, is inspiration the word I'm looking for?
It inspired a lot of stuff. Yeah. Definitely. You're totally right. Yeah.
Just, and to this day, people are still, he changed the idea of zombies that
we
had, so.
Yeah, from voodoo to, some kind of a, contagion-ish thing or something, or radiation, really.
But back to New York Ninja.
Yes.
I could just go on and on about so many of these movies. But, so New York Ninja, they got martial arts. They got Don the Dragon Wilson also, who plays the John Leo character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny. In New York Ninja, he's just named John Leo. Mm-hmm. And in his other 3 movies that he produced and he starred in there, he just calls himself John Leo in every single one of them. It's so funny. But I think that might have been a page from Bruce Lee, because I think Bruce Lee did that. Yeah. I think in Enter the Dragon, I think he's called Bruce Lee. Fact check me, y'all. But I think it is. So I think he's maybe trying to do what he's doing in a way. Mm-hmm. But I love that. That's great.
Yeah, I like that too. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, other things about New York Ninja I kind of wanted to point out. So when I first put the movie on, and it's got in 1984, New York was totally
crime ridden.
Yeah, and then the soundtrack starts. I'm just like, hell yeah! It's just so exciting.
That's the mission, right?
Yeah. It's just I love that. Where they're just setting you up the world's really sleazy, and this city is really sleazy, and it's the sleazy decade, and just sets you right up, and you just get your typical ninja type trope, revenge tropes. Revenge. His pregnant wife gets stabbed because she witnesses a woman being kidnapped. There's a string of kidnappings happening. Now the plot is a little confusing, I think. I don't know if you would agree with that, because you know it a little better.
Right. I've seen it many times, yeah.
But I was a little...
I'll tell you, a lot of times I'll see a video on YouTube of somebody lodging a criticism like that, and I wish I could talk to them, because I'd be like, no, dude, it's just this, so maybe I can even answer it, maybe. But trust me, it does have some bumps, because they had to figure it out as they went, you know.
Yeah, because the first half of the movie seems to be we're dealing with this kidnapping string happening, and then all of a sudden the guy's got the plutonium box.
Yeah,
and I was a little thrown aback by that, and I was a little confused. And then it's almost like the movie doesn't change, but there's even like a point where they say like New York Ninja wasn't around anymore. They didn't know where he was, and the kidnapping stopped for a while, but then all of a sudden the plutonium killer's back.
Yeah. I think I can smooth this out for you, I believe.
Yeah.
So the plutonium killer used to be a agent of the CIA, and he got kind of poisoned, if you will, or exposed to radiation, so it messed him up.
Okay.
And it also gave him kind of these sort of powers in a way, like that disguise ability maybe, and stuff like that. But he has to, I think, recharge this plutonium once in a while.
Yeah.
So that opening scene when you get introduced to his character and he's kind of opening that box and charging up, that's how I take it anyway. Yeah. And then light, his weakness is light, so that's why he always has the sunglasses on, because light messes him up. So that's why, well, I don't want to give too many spoilers away, but if you remember the mirror trick, the ninja knew this, so he's shining that light on him to hurt him more. And then the crime went away during that break, if you will. I don't want to say why there's a break, because I don't want to give any spoilers away. But that ninja fever kind of started with the you know how he'd been filmed a number of times, and he had his branded merch, if you will, right? Yeah, so that started to catch on in the city. So that helped drive down crime because of the work he had already done. So in his absence, that momentum still carried, I guess. That's how I'm taking it. Okay, yeah.
All right, that makes a little more sense.
But that's when you watch it 107 times, you pick up on stuff like that.
I mean, that is... So personally, when I watch a movie, you know, plot's important, but, and especially if a movie's like really, really plotty or plot heavy and it relies on a plot, then I'm going to follow it. And if there's a plot hole, I'm going to be like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, you'll be more critical of it.
Yeah, but typically when I go in to watch a movie, and this is just me, and maybe some other people are like this too, I'm more about, you know, the mood, the vibe, the visuals, you know, the music.
Yeah.
I guess like the heart and the thought that goes into the movie. So in my opinion, where the plot was confusing, that like didn't like really take away from my enjoyment of the movie, because there was that independent spirit to it and the heart. And like we mentioned earlier, it's like, there's a few scenes there. It's just really obvious that they just showed up with the camera and they're like, okay, action.
Yeah, hurry.
Like, hurry up.
Don't mess up.
Yeah. And it's like during the Halloween scene, it's just some dad with his kid and they're just like, what the hell? Okay.
Yeah.
New York, I guess, you know, moving
exactly.
on. And
it was probably so chaotic there with all that going on and the noise, because there really was a parade.
Yeah.
Because that thing actually really was shot there. And I think one of the guys in the DVD extra said that it was either that year or the next year. That was the last time it was done in that particular park, and it's since moved to a different area, because I think they might still do it to this day. It's a certain parade around Halloween, but it doesn't happen at that location anymore. So that was one of the last times it happened at that particular spot. Wow. Some park, if you live there, you would know what it is. But that arch gives it away. So New Yorkers know that arch that's in the shot. Yeah.
So if you're in New York, I mean, there's probably a lot of nostalgic little spots for you to look at in that movie because of that. Yeah, we also talked about the roller skating scene. That was very memorable. And when it first was happening, I'm like, is he on roller skates? It's like almost like unbelievable.
Right, totally. Yeah. I think that's why he did that. I think he just wanted to do something that nobody else did before. Yeah. And he's really good at that, in my opinion, because some people might say that, like, this is a bad John Liu movie, maybe. I've heard that on different YouTube clips of people reviewing and stuff, but I beg to differ, and I'll tell you why. The other 3 films that John Liu did where he was in charge of it, they just didn't happen to be American productions, they are equally as bonkers. And those got finished at the time. Yeah. That's just his style. Yeah. He's very outlandish, I think, and like boisterous, or like he does big paint strokes in his movie making. And he's not afraid to have it be abstract or do a quick kind of vibe change where now he's in this other city now, and you're like, well, how come he's in the other city now? Because he is. Mm-hmm. So that's not different. Mm-hmm. New York Ninja follows that kind of outlandishness that his other films, like Ninja in the Claw of the CIA, Zen Kwon Do in Paris, and there's one other one, Desert something. I can't remember what it's called now, but they're all the same kind of outlandishness. Yeah. So that's just John Liu's style, in my opinion.
Do you know, are those movies streaming?
They're on Tubi.
They're on Tubi?
Yep.
I'd be interested to check them out just to see
they're
the comparison,
fun.
Yeah. And something that I also noticed about the movie that I'm sure was his choice, I know it was, there's nothing by accident in movies, but his wardrobe, as the ninja, he's wearing all white.
Yes, yeah.
And I think almost every time you see him when he's not the ninja, he's wearing very pale yellow, pale blue, or white. And he's always dressed in the light colors. So it's he's always this very pure,
right,
force when he's around.
I think he was maybe channeling the Lone Ranger vibes or something like that. Yeah, totally.
It worked though. I mean, it's I thought it was interesting as well because you think of a ninja in all black because that's what's in the shadows, but he's in the city and it's all stark bright and he's in white, which kind of makes him more camouflaged in the city.
Yeah, good point.
So
for sure.
I thought that was really interesting. There was just something visually that stuck out to me.
Yeah, that had to have been a particular choice. I guarantee it. Yeah.
What else? I really liked the beginning when he's with his wife and it's all dramatic and it's very just overwrought. I love that kind of stuff.
Totally.
There's kind of chewing the scenery type, acting, and you got to when it's that part in a revenge film. You know?
Yeah, you have to hammer that point home.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
And then what was the other point I wanted to make? At the end, it says next LA Ninja.
Yes, they did say that. I hope they do it.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. I hope they call us to score it.
I hope so too. I really do.
They do have the sequel via a comic book, so that's cool. We got something else. I'll take anything that they want to put out of New York Ninja. I'm going to eat it up for sure.
Of course.
And I hope that we can work with them again. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be really cool. I would definitely like to see it and /hear it.
Yeah.
So yeah. Any more points you'd like to? Anything else to say about New York Ninja?
I think a favorite character that is that's kind of been talked about more than a lot of them is Rat Tail.
Oh, there you go. That's what I wanted to bring up.
He's so over the top.
Yeah, he brings us, he bites it.
Yeah.
The first time I saw it, I'm like, damn.
Oh yeah, the audience reactions. I've seen it in the theater 3 times now. Once at the premiere, once at the New Beverly. I went back out to LA because the New Beverly is Quentin Tarantino's movie theater. And they played it for 2 nights back in, I think it was January. I can't miss that. So I had to go out there. So I saw one of the 2 showings of it. And then I saw it once. There was one Michigan premiere of it. It was up in Howell at a really cool theater up there. So I've seen it in 3 settings with a packed house. And Rat Tail brings the house down every time. People love him because he's so outlandish.
He's so gross, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's creepy. He reminds me of a little bit of a character like Daniel Radcliffe would play for comedic effect.
Gotcha.
I don't know. I really got that vibe from him, but yeah, he's effective.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I'll give you another tidbit about that actor because you remember how we don't know anybody who's in this film.
Yeah.
We only know so far John Liu because that's obvious. Adrian Meltzer. Played the reporter, Randy Rydell. And, Sharon Mitchell, who's actually a porn actress from that era, early 80s, mid 80s, I guess, played the lady on the train.
Okay.
And there's actually a rape scene with her, but it cut. They cut it. We scored it and everything, but it didn't make the cut. And that music was repurposed in a couple of other scenes, but on the DVD extra, it's in there. It's pretty brutal.
Is that why they cut the scene? I was because I expected the movie to be a little more sleazy than it was.
Yeah, I actually don't know why they cut it because I know Vinegar Syndrome is not about censorship or anything like that. So they must have cut it for a different reason. Maybe it was time, or maybe it was just flow of everything altogether. I actually don't know. Yeah. But so that's her, and then just recently, I found out Rat Tail's name. Mm-hmm. It's Richard Buckingham Clarke.
Wow.
And he only had one other movie. Mm-hmm. It was a movie that was produced in the Middle East back in 87, I think. You can check IMDb, but it's later 80s. So after New York Ninja for sure. And it was this really long TV series. I think it's called Revenge of the Desert or something about the desert. I forgot, but we can put the titles in there. And it stars Rutger Hauer. So they have a big name attached to the film. And the TV version, which aired over where it was produced, I think it was like 5 nights in a row. So it's like a 5-hour piece. He made it into that. And he plays this assassin who's trying to kill Rutger Hauer's character. And the sequence, it's on YouTube. You can watch it. He does a great job. It still looks like Rat Tail. He didn't change that much. His hair is more long everywhere. Okay. And kind of out and a little curly. Yeah. But he does a great job. He tries to kill Rutger Hauer's character and the character that's with him. He actually is on screen at the same time with him for just a little bit. So that's an excellent honor for him, right? And his acting is good. It's cool. But in the film version that came out in the States, unfortunately, that scene didn't make it because they had to cut this 5-hour beast down to an hour and 20-ish or whatever it is. So unfortunately, it's not in the, American feature-length film version. But Rat Tail was in one other film.
He really, he steals the show as far as like the Drews go in that movie.
Yeah.
For a lack of a better term, because they really did remind me of like the A Clockwork Orange guys.
Yeah, right on.
Had the guys had like jock shafts over their pants.
I know, so awesome, man. Because in all honesty, there's probably 15 bad guys or 10 or 12 bad guys. Yeah, and you had to keep making them look different. Yeah. However, free way you could do that, or vintage store Goodwill Pickens to make them look different.
I joked this is what bad guys looked like in the 80s.
So true. So true.
Crazy outfits on. They're kind of punk, a little it's just dog collars, just crazy shit, bandanas around the leg.
Yeah, one that I noticed later, even when we were scoring it, I didn't even notice it. But later on, when I was watching it just for fun, I think I was showing my family the film or something like that on the Blu-ray, and on the rooftop fight part, there's a guy that has those tanning goggles.
Oh, yeah. I remember.
And they're bright neon green, and he's fighting the New York Ninja with these tanning goggles on. It's so nuts. I didn't notice that one right away.
Yeah, they got some looks on that.
Yeah.
It's definitely fun. We need to get a showing around here.
I know. Wouldn't that be awesome?
In Detroit, yeah.
Yeah, like the what would be a really cool spot? What's that one that's out? Is it on 8 Mile? And they kind of been showing films again lately, even a little bit before COVID. It's not called The Senate, is it? No, it's not it. I can't remember the name of that one.
Well, there's Cinema Detroit. It's not an 8 Mile. I don't know.
Not that one. We'll have to look that up. It's not important for the segment, I guess, but just our conversation. You would like that place. They'd be showing stuff that you would like because it's kind of like a smaller version of the Redford, basically.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's not quite as big, but it's still of that era where there's an organ and everything in there.
I thought there was the Senate. The Senate has the organ.
Okay, so it is a Senate. Yeah. Then. They kind of reopened that.
Yeah,
ish, 5-6 years ago, right?
Yeah,
that would be a cool spot.
And they do play a lot of cool stuff there.
Yeah,
that would be a great spot.
I know, or it would have been cool at the Main, but corporate America,
that's the biggest bummer.
I know,
it gets mentioned on a lot of episodes of the show. We're all bummed out about that.
It's not even necessary. That could be there, and there's still a million condos. I think we're good.
It's just gonna, it's just gonna look really ugly over there too.
Right.
As you're driving by.
Yeah, everything of those high-rise condos.
They're ugly.
Right.
Yeah. Ugh, and just so many movies I saw there. So many formative moments were spent there.
Yeah. I can't even count them. So many different, of any genre. Old and new.
And nowadays we have the Senate. And I don't know if the Redford was showing movies like that back in the late 90s, early 2000s. The Main Art was where I went to see the weird stuff. And
right
then
on.
We had the midnight movies and
Yeah. You know what might have hope as another option is that, the Shores Theater is supposedly going to reopen.
Yeah.
Soonish. I know COVID slowed it way down, of course.
Weren't they going to do a restaurant
and a venue too. But I think it might still have a screen or two. So maybe they'll choose to play some kooky stuff sometimes, or, you know, stuff that we would like more so than maybe some other people around here. But I don't know if they will, because St. Clair Shore, is that the audience for that? I don't know. You know, who knows?
I feel like we're like half and half. I get real surprised. I meet people from around here, and it's like, wait, you're a weirdo? I thought this was all like people over 60.
Right. No, I hear you, for sure.
The Shores Theater was the theater I saw my first movie in. I saw Beetlejuice there.
Oh, killer movie too, man. Wow.
Yeah, I was like, maybe I saw another movie in the theater, but that was definitely like the first memory made of seeing a movie in the theater.
Beetlejuice is so good.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in a while, but I saw it at the theater as well. And, you know, 6 or 7 times on various, you know, cable or a DVD or something since, and it's great, for sure.
It totally holds up.
Yeah.
I feel like I want to say one more thing about New York Ninja.
Right on.
Oh, no, I just kind of, like, piggybacking off that, one of the things that, when Dad and I watched it, we said it would be, like, so great to see it with a group of people. Like, they show movies sometimes at Lost River, the Tiki Bar.
Oh, yeah, over by Grosse Pointe and Detroit border, right? Yeah.
And that would be, like, so fun to see.
I know they had films there.
Yeah.
Because I love tiki bars, but I didn't really know there was one around here, because, like, when my wife and I travel sometimes, especially before we had kids, we would go to Vegas and go to Frankie's all the time. Mm-hmm. Wonderful. And other ones sprinkled around if we saw one. Like New Orleans has one. I don't remember the name of it, though, but we went there. But we have one here now, so that's awesome. Yeah.
It's kind of small, but it's really cozy and cute. We saw an Argento movie there.
Oh, very cool.
Of course, the name of it is
Cat of Nine Tails?
No, but it did
Bird with Crystal Plumage?
Yes, it was.
Oh, that's his first movie.
Yeah.
Killer. In the art gallery, murder in the beginning. Love it.
Oh,
On the glass, can't hear him. Oh,
that is one of like my favorite scenes of like all time. Yeah. I want to like, you know how there's like musicians do covers? I want to like do like a film cover of that scene. Oh man,
like, that'd be great.
I love it.
Just as a pure exercise, that would be awesome. You know what I mean? For sure. Yeah. We talked about that on our podcast for a minute, some episode. I don't remember which one, but we were talking about, I think I mentioned how it's scary just obviously because someone's about to get murdered. I mean, that's scary and upsetting. But there's another level of like this sensory deprivation scariness of the guy because he's like trying to yell and bang on the glass and the lady is none the wiser and he can't communicate with her. That's another level of like texture and coolness in there because he's the master. Dario Argento's the master.
He really is. he kind of takes that like the like suspense that like Hitchcock does, but like he takes it to this like really extreme level.
Yeah,
and he gives you gore
and he
too.
Twists it. Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
I love that movie. I like it a lot, but surprisingly, I like it better than Suspiria. That's not my favorite one.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
Have you seen Inferno, which is like the sequel?
Yeah. I liked that one better.
Cool.
And I still haven't seen the third one, the
Mother of Tears.
Yeah, I still haven't seen that.
It was a little bit of a letdown to me. It's still cool.
Yeah.
Because it's the Three Mothers trilogy. It's awesome. But the later Argento stuff just didn't hit me as much as his 70s stuff. It started to like kind of like if you saw it on a graph, it would kind of dip. Yeah. Just to me, I don't know if that's because my age changed too or something. I don't know. But
his movies changed a little bit.
Yeah.
I like Stendhal Syndrome. That was from the 90s, I think.
Yeah.
And I liked Dracula 3D, which was more current.
I never saw that one.
Past like 10 years. He really tried to go for like the Hammer thing.
Gotcha.
So it's almost like a comedy.
Interesting. Okay.
But
I don't know how would that translate with Argento's normal vibe. Did it work to you? What do you think?
I thought it worked. I really liked it. I think I'm in the minority.
Gotcha.
Because I think people wanted something more, I guess, in the vein of Argento, which would have been a little more like artistic and maybe and more classy. Mm-hmm. But he was going for that Hammer thing.
Right, which is a different animal.
Yeah, and he was trying to go really over the top and be very, like tongue-in-cheek about it.
Gotcha.
Which is not typically what you think of when you think of Argento.
Right, no, I would not, right.
Yeah, but I don't know, it's been a while since I've seen it. It's due for a rewatch for me, but I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
Like a lot.
Are you hip to his latest one coming out shortly? It's called Occhiali Neri, or the American translation would be Dark Glasses or Black Glasses. The trailer's out, and it's been hitting some film festivals sprinkled around. But I read that when it does hit streaming, Shudder's got the lock on it, so it'll be on Shudder. Oh, which I finally subscribed to Shudder back in like April. What took me so long? It's so much endless good stuff on there to me. I'll never watch it all. I don't have time to watch it for
a minute, and I didn't watch it, and
really, okay.
I ended up getting rid of it, and I just found that usually I'm on Tubi, even I deal with those commercials.
Yeah, that's no big deal. Yeah. I love the Joe Bob, how it gives you all the behind the scenes stuff and his breaks on all the films Tubi? He does. No, that's on Shudder.
Oh, on Shudder.
Yeah, it's called The Last Drive-In.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
I haven't even watched that. It's been a minute since we had Shudder, I think. I had Shudder back when they did The Core, and Glenn Danzig was on, and I had watched
cool.
it.
Okay.
He did a really cool episode talking about his favorite movies, and
back
before he did his movie.
Gotcha.
So yeah, that's another movie you should see with a group of people. It's his movie Veronica, but
I don't know that one. I'll have to check it out. Yeah. Is it on Tubi?
No, it's on Shudder, I think.
Oh, okay.
It was.
Okay,
I don't know if it still is.
If it's there, I'm going to check it out.
People consider it to be one of the worst movies ever made.
Really? Did they say why that is? Like, what didn't fire right?
We could have a whole other
Gotcha.
episode.
Okay, fair enough.
And I would love to have you back to do it, because it's one of my favorite
Well, I got to
topics.
watch it first, but I might take you up on that.
One of my favorite topics is Danzig. We all know this. But so I would, if you want to come back and talk about Veronica, I would love to. That would be really cool.
Okay.
So get ready, Vampa's viewings fans. We're going to do Vampa's Veronica viewing. Yeah. But yeah, back just to New York, bring us back to New York Ninja.
Yeah, we go off on some tangents,
don't we? Yeah, I mean, Argento is a good diversion.
Yeah.
New York Ninja needs to be seen with an audience.
Totally. 100%, yeah.
It would have been great to see that reaction to, a lot of stuff in that movie that was like, I'm like, there was a few moments where I'm like, is this? Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's really happening.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, so to see that with an audience, everyone else's reactions too, that'd be great.
Yeah.
So.
One of my favorite reactions that I remember at the premiere was it's the rooftop when he's in mourning, and he's smashed the table that was going to be the birthday setting for his wife, and he's very down the dumps, and he cuts himself on the sword, all this stuff, and he smashes the picture frame glass in his hands and all that kind of stuff. But right when he holds up the two katanas, and I hit like the Mellotron chords there, very sinister, and we have like the orchestral type crashes on the drum kit. People like kind of lost their shit on that part. They're like, yeah, you could hear it like erupt at the arrow, and I'm like, all right, we're on to something here. I think we made the right call.
Oh yeah.
It really hits, because it's like stuff's about to get real. John Liu's pissed, and he's holding up his swords, and it's like a very powerful moment. And the music, I hoped back that, and that was reassurance that we'd made the right call.
That's awesome. That's like a great experience that you were able to like see that happen. Definitely the score makes the movie like real.
Thank you.
In this situation, in a lot of situations, but this especially, to just take, so what they did is really cool as someone who is really into film history and history in general. It's really, and a filmmaker, it's really cool to see that like someone had care for something that someone else already cared for. When you make a movie, you don't think anyone's going to care about it as much as you, but there it was, just sitting there as an orphan, and it like got adopted.
Right.
It has its whole new life.
Yeah, by people who really get it and wanted to give it its proper treatment and not make a nod, wink, wink thing, as I said earlier. Yeah. Like they just, because it could have been that.
Yeah.
And, there's nothing to stop it from being that, but they decided at early on in the conversation that we're going to play this straight. And man, I'm so glad they did.
I'm happy they did too. It would have been tired if they didn't.
Right. That's been done so many times.
Exactly.
It's easy to make fun of something. It's hard to get in there and like literally like what I've been saying to people sometimes is like, man, we time traveled and did some stuff and came back. That's what it feels like.
It totally had to feel like that. I can totally imagine that. That's really cool. That had to have been a very unique, like fun, and just like one of a kind experience.
Yeah, I'm so thankful that we got to be a part of that, because that's all of our bread and butter of movies that we love and grew up with. That exact thing. Like I wore out Ninja 3: The Domination on VHS back when I was a kid. I watched it so many times, and Revenge of the Ninja, and so many of those ones. So to be able to be sort of a part of that in a way, like however you want to define that, awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's very, very cool. And the thing I like about genre movies like this is that the tropes of it, like really help you like latch on to everything, you know? Like you said, it's like he's very upset, and it's like, you know, you really, as an audience member, you want him to get that revenge. You want him to get that spark, and then you put that musical note in it. It gets you going. It
just felt right.
Yeah. So that's really cool. And it's a fun movie. It's on Blu-ray right now from Vinegar Syndrome, and I watched it streaming on Showtime. So if you guys have a Showtime subscription, you can check out the movie, enjoy the awesome soundtrack by Voyager 3, and have fun with it. It's just, it's fun.
Yeah, watch it with 10 people in your house and a bunch of two-hearteds or whatever you like to drink.
Yeah, get your party favors and just go for it. You'll have a good time, guaranteed. All right, good night, everyone. I'll see you next time on Vampa's Viewings.